the city of Splendors, where gold streets gleam, a healer's dream turns to a wild new scheme. With scalpels traded for daggers and scrolls, they're patching up wounds and knocking out trolls. From potions to patience, they've seen it all, but dragons and devils, that's a new call. They're the clinicians of chaos, rolling dice and rewriting charts, dodging fireballs and mending hearts. They're the clinicians of chaos, magic and medicine, sword and sass. Grab your kit and your courage, 'cause this shift's gonna kick your...
So welcome to the very first episode of this new Clinicians of Chaos D&D live play podcast, recording for the Doctors and Dragons network. We are doing a version of the Wizards of the Coast module, Waterdeep Dragonheist, and we will introduce all the players. We've got a big table in a minute, but first let's set the scene. Waterdeep, Jewel of the North, the city of splendor. Secrets and the silent hum of power threading its way through the cobbled streets and shadowed alleys. The bells of trade ring in the distance as ships unload crates of silken spice, and somewhere above, nobles toast to old power in towers veiled by morning mist. But you're not up there. You're down here, beneath it all, in the tap room of the Yawning portal. Past the clatter of mugs and the creak of chains from the giant pit in the floor, you sit at a round wooden table near the hearth. Strangers, for now, carrying stories not yet told and names the world has yet to remember. You've joined the Order of the First Hand, a guild not of fame, but of foundation. You signed some contracts, or at least read them. You've been promised coin, guidance, and a limited health plan. And now you wait, and the fire crackles, and the air smells of pipe smoke, spilled ale, roasted meat, and the leftovers of some stew that have an after scent of soggy sock. And somewhere nearby, a bard misses a note. A red-skinned tiefling steps up onto a crate, nearly swallowed by an oversized charcoal blazer, black horns glinting in the lantern light, and he clutches a clipboard with white-knuckled urgency. Welcome, brave initiate, to your first day of contracted adventure under the esteemed partnership of the Order of the First Hand and our third-party onboarding sponsor, Stan. I am Tessel Inkstep, your local compliance liaison, onboarding adjunct, and fully bonded apprentice in metaphysical human resources. You may call me Tessel Inkstep, or, if required for clarity and brevity, Tessel Inkstep. And he opens a small brass case and begins to hand out badges, polished ovals etched with names. Phelan, what do they see when you go up to collect your badge?
A blonde elf stands up and he's dressed in monk's robes, and he's holding a quarterstaff in one hand and has a healer's kit dangling from his left hip. And he walks up and he holds his hand out and nods and thanks.
And Tessel gives you a badge, and he looks back at his clipboard and he goes, "More Grim." And he looks back up again and looks around the table. Who does he see next?
Morgrim stands up. Morgrim is a Goliath, and as he stands up, he towers over the general patrons of the bar at 7 feet. If any of you know anything about Goliaths, he's actually short for a Goliath and not particularly large, but very well built, very wiry. He has got leather pants and leather bandoliers with a number of different items like ropes and chains and manacles and spikes all over him. He walks over to Tessel, scowls at the badge, picks it up, and as he walks back to the table, puts it in his backpack.
Okay. Tessel nods and go, Cav Rack. Cav Rack and looks around expectantly.
Yeah. Kavrak stands up. He's a human barbarian from Uthgard. He stands about 6'4", quite short compared to Morgrim, but still quite tall by human standards. Got light brown hair, blue eyes. He's clad in mostly animal furs. Strides over to Tassel. Basically clutches his hand, slightly crumples the badge, confusedly looks around, very confused by the ceremony itself, and walks back and sits down.
Okay. Tassel rolls his eyes and goes back to his thing. Spy, spiosite. Spiosite. Confidently now. Spiosite. What does he say?
Spiosite stands up and walks towards Tessel. She is a human sorcerer, medium height, with long black hair, brown eyes, and dressed in all black. She walks up to Tessel, nods, and takes the badge off his hand and just quietly walks back to her own spot.
Lustrous Dragonborn. And he looks around and what does he see?
He sees lustrous Dragonborn getting up from the table and walking over to collect her badge. Small in stature for an orc, her light steps patter across the wooden floor as she, with her fetching green complexion, set off by a brownish cloak and 2 cute horns on her head, looks him deep in the eye and says thank you for her badge. At her waist are, on her belt, some calligraphy equipment, a crossbow, hand rapier, scimitar, short sword, and a whip. She has tucked into her back pocket a forgery kit and meters, 50 feet length of hemp rope.
Looks at his clipboard and looks up and looks a bit confused, but prepared. Looks organised, properly equipped, and they make a check mark. And then he looks back and he goes, "One more bat, Phineas," and he's looking around the bar.
And initially he sees nothing really except a spectral floating hand that floats up to him with its sort of palm outstretched for the name badge. And I guess people will look around and see somewhere up the back of the group there's a halfling who, I guess this is the fantasy equivalent of one of those guys who's wearing like a self-made A-frame of conspiracy theories. Yeah, so his robes are inscribed with all kinds of weird mismatched sigils, arcane runes, and he's got a weird sort of pointy wizard's hat, and he's got an exceedingly long pipe that appears to have been borrowed from a Goliath. And he sits there and his mage hand floats up and collects the badge and brings it back to him, and he pins it in amongst many other various sort of badges and medals and knickknacks.
And Tessel goes back to his gig. Excellent. And he flips a page. He goes, by sitting here, you've already waived liabilities for injuries caused by pit traps, gelatinous cubes, infernal backlash, or noble-related faux pas. Missions are assigned by divine whim, bribes, or rota. Refusal is allowed. We will take notes. If you die, you get a plaque. Resurrection, only available for platinum tier members. Performance reviews are quarterly, immediately after catastrophic failure, however. Bonuses available for surviving your first week, showing initiative, and not summoning anything that whispers. Welcome to the Order. Orientation complete. And before you can ask a single question, there's a roar that echoes through the tap room. And from the Yawning, from the shaft that's sitting in the center of the Yawning portal, a monstrous shape starts to claw its way upwards. Warty green flesh, wild black hair, bloodshot eyes, half a dozen winged things crawling all over its back, with more circling around it like flies. People start screaming and fleeing for the doors. This happens relatively regularly in the Yawning portal. And Durnan from the bar, draws a sword, which is clearly kept behind the bar for instances like this, and screams, "Troll!" And Tessel doesn't hesitate at all. He leaps off the crate. A giant spectral door opens behind him, and he opens the spectral door and goes, "Get to work then." Roll an initiative. I'll put the map up for you. So what you can see is that where there was previously an empty portal, the well in the center of the Yawning portal, down to the Underdark below, you can now see a troll and what look like 4 giant mosquitoes circling around its head, coming up into your direction. So let's run down the order. And what have you rolled?
7.
7.
Getting my
Good
bad rolls out
start.
of the way.
Nice. Lustrous. Initiative. So that's 9, 11, 12. So the easiest way, so we're playing on D&D Beyond with character sheets, is if you click on where it says initiative, which is at the top of your character sheet, underneath, next to the little shield with your armor class, it should roll that for you automatically. It's 9, 10, 11, 12 for Lustrous. It's like 24. My goodness. That's going to be first off the block. And Morgrim, is that a 12?
That is a 12. As a side note, my character is good when it goes to enable other people. So if anyone got a high roll and wants to swap with me, my feat allows me to swap with them. So if you'd prefer not to go first,
Okay.
someone can swap with me.
So for the order, Spearsight, you will be up first, and then some of the bad guys, and then Cavrack will be next on deck, and then Lustrous. Okay, so Spearsight, you get to go first. What would you like to do?
All right. So how far is this creature from us?
So this creature is about just under 30 feet from you.
Just under 30. Okay. I do have a sleep spell, but it has to be in a 5-foot radius.
So you can move 30 feet on your turn?
Yes. Or
What does the portal thing that the troll is floating in, Emma? What is?
So it's the Yawning portal is in the middle of the Yawning portal. Ground floor is what looks like a giant well shaft, so it's stone rimmed. There's a little ledge jutting out into it that just disappears beneath the city. And underneath the Yawning portal is the Underdark, and there's an entrance to that in the Yawning portal, hence its name, the Yawning portal. If you want to measure on your Foundry, it's the little ruler, which is the third one down. We're using Foundry Virtual Tabletop for the maps, and it's the little ruler icon, which is the third one down on the right hand side. Anyway, Spearsight, where would you like to go, or what would you like to do?
okay, I'm gonna move 15 feet closer, and then I'm gonna use Thunderwave.
Okay, I will cast it from.
So guys, I'm pushing this thing away, so I don't know what's going to come out from underneath.
Okay, so what does it look like when you cast Thunderwave? This is the first time that you've cast anything in front of these guys. What do they see?
So they see a flash of light and a shaking of the ground, and this thunderous energy hits the troll.
Okay, so the troll has to make a Constitution saving throw to see if it can resist that. It rolls a 10, and which is a miserable failure. So that would take the damage. So that's 2d8, I think.
Yep.
And how much damage do you do? You should be able to just click it on your character sheet, and it should just roll it for you. Yeah. Yeah.
Does that work? No.
I'll click it for you. So if you...
There we go.
There you go. Perfect. 16 damage. Brutal. So you see this troll it holds its head, this awful roll, and it's pushed away by 10 feet. Is that right? It goes in that direction. In addition to that, this mosquito creature disappears, and this mosquito creature disappears, and this one moves over there. So that's a pretty good turn. That's decimated the pit. Okay. Anything else you want to do? If you've got a bonus action, so you've had your movement, you've taken an action. I think probably not. Anything else you want to do? You've got a little bit more movement if you want to move anywhere else. You can move up to 30 feet in a turn. You've moved 15.
Let me see.
If you want to move back, you can.
No, I think I'll leave it for now.
Okay. All right. It's these little blood-sucking insects. One of them flies out of the pit and is going to try and attack you because you've just attacked it and its friend. That's an 18 to hit. Does that hit your armor class? I would think it probably does. So your armor class in the little shield, so that's a 12. Yeah. So that hits, and that does 3 damage. And it starts sucking the blood out of you. The other one starts to fly over in this direction over here. All right, Kavrak, you are up. Oh, yeah, Kavrak, you're up.
Okay, just to clarify, what is the troll standing on?
At the moment, it's just climbing up the edge of this portal. It's all rough stone. In here, it's not a smooth sort of marbled wall. It's rough stone, so it's clinging on to the stone wall of the inside of the portal.
Just trying to figure out if I can stand here and then still hit them within 5 feet.
Yep. Yes, you can.
Yes? Okay, excellent.
Yes,
All right,
you can wail on its head.
Fantastic. I'm going to rage because that's what I do
Excellent.
for fun. Then I'm going to move over to roughly where I pressed there.
Don't fall down the pit. We might not come and save you.
I don't know what that...
You will not fall down the pit. There you go. There you go. It's pretty
Excellent.
secure. Nobody falls down the pit in the Yawning portal. That would never happen.
All right, in my rage, I'm going to swing my great axe directly at the troll's head.
Go for it. So that's 17 hits.
Roll damage. I can roll again, I believe, through Savage Attacker. Yeah, I'll take the 12.
Okay. Anything else? So bonus action rage. You've moved.
Yep.
You've
I
whacked
don't think I
it
can do anything else.
with an axe.
Yeah.
Are you good? Okay.
Yep.
Lustrous, you're up. Morgrim, you're on deck. Then Phineas and Phelan.
So Lustrous first or me first, sorry?
Sorry, Lustrous, then Morgrim, then Phineas, then Phelan. So Lustrous, what would you like to do?
Along with the flow and attempt to kill the troll, or maybe the mosquito.
Yep. So
The troll or the mosquito.
you don't want to get bitten by this infernal mosquito. That's for sure. It's made spear sight look pretty ropey.
To disable or kill the mosquito, would I need to first disable or kill the troll? And what's my distance to the troll?
No, you can attack them all separately. So your distance to the troll is about 20 feet. Your distance to the mosquito is 5 feet. So you can attack the mosquito because it's right.
I think I should attack the mosquito because it's nearer.
Okay. Go
So
for
I
it.
would first move 5 feet. Do I have to throw the dice at
Done.
this point?
No, you can roll your short sword because you're in melee range.
Yes. Yep.
So
with
you
the
can use
short
your
sword,
short
then
sword and
I would kill the mosquito with that.
Okay, so you need to roll to hit. So that's click on the +5 on your character sheet next to the short sword.
Click on.
Or just
Click on
roll
the
a
short
d20 dice. Yeah, or just roll a d20 and add 5. There you go.
No. 16
So that's a
plus 5,
21. So that most definitely hits.
21.
That most definitely hits. So now you need to roll your damage. So that's a d6 dice. Just a
D6.
normal dice. Yep.
That one. 4.
And then you add 3 to that.
Oh,
So that's
that adds
7
up to
total. So
7.
you completely obliterate this thing. It gets pulverized all over the floor. So that's your attack. Do you want to move any further? You can't attack again this turn, but you can move ready for the next turn.
I think, can I move over near the edge of the,
Yeah, you can. There you go.
somewhere there?
Okay.
Do
no
I
worries.
throw for that too?
Good stuff. No,
Oh,
you
done.
can just
Okay,
move.
thanks.
That's free. And unless I throw stuff at you, no, that's currently free. Morgrim, you are up. Great turn. Morgrim, you're up.
So Morgrim pushes aside his chair and runs as fast as he can towards the troll. And if I've calculated right, it's 30 feet. So he makes a leaping jump right at the end and tries to grab the troll by the neck. So first thing is going to be a bonus action to try attempt to grapple the troll. Because I believe, so you don't have me next to the troll there, but I intended to go there, where I'm adjacent to the troll.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, assuming you are adjacent to the troll, that's fine.
So the troll needs to make a dexterity saving throw of 13, please.
Let's see. I will show you. There you go. The troll rolled a critical fail for a giddy 2.
Morgrim has got the troll now in a hold and goes to kick him in the back of the legs using his hill giant strength. So first of all, he's going to roll an unarmed strike. And he gets a only 9, though.
So that misses.
Okay, that's all he does then. Oh no, I don't have any more movement, so I've just got him in a grapple.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. So he is grappled, which is it's not frightened. He's grappled. Okay, Phineas, you are up. Then Phelan.
Okay, free action. He stares back at where Inkstep has just disappeared and goes, "It's troll in the dungeon. Thought you'd like to know. That's the line." Turns back to the troll. Although now I remember that I sometimes play with non-Harry Potter people, and that's a Harry Potter thing in case you are playing along at home. Phineas is going to pull out his hand crossbow and shoot at this thing. It's going to take me a minute to get to, so I'm just going to roll a d20 because I'm pretty sure it's +2 to hit. Yeah, so that misses wildly.
Yeah, it is.
Which fits pretty well with Phineas's vibe, really. He lazily pulls out the hand crossbow and kind of points in the general direction. It's lucky that he didn't hit anyone else. And he's going to stay put exactly where he is.
Okay, so this crossbow goes whizzing past Kavrak and goes whizzing past Morgrim, and it embeds itself in the table where they were quite happily just playing dice 30 seconds earlier. As this bolt embeds itself in a table, and Phineas sits down again and has another drink. Phelan, you're up.
So Phelan's gonna move over next to Spy Sight there. And he's gonna attack the mosquito thing with his quarterstaff. Which is a 22 to hit.
Oh, that hits.
And that is 5 damage.
That's exactly what you needed. So this thing's relatively small, buzzing around with this enormous proboscis. Describe how Phelan takes this thing out with a quarterstaff right in front of Spear Sight as it's just sucked out some of her blood.
So he watches it for half a second, trying to work out where it is, and then he just whacks it into the floor so it splats.
It's just this sort of impeccable fly swat as this thing just comes around and just goes whoosh, and flies off the end of your staff, just pounded to dust. It is the troll's turn. So the troll is going to roll to try and get out of the grapple. So he's
13?
going to try and he's going to try and break the grapple, which he The DM's rolling really well tonight. So with here we go. I shall put that up for you as well. So with an 11, this Goliath holds onto this troll on the edge of the platform in a headlock on the edge of this platform. Back to the top of the order. Spear sight, it's your go. This troll is currently grappled onto the edge of this platform.
Okay.
And the mosquito is dead.
Morgan, how do you go with fire?
I burn.
That's always a great question. Those are the questions we like. In a level 1 character campaign, how do you go with fire? That's excellent.
All right, maybe I won't try to set everyone on fire then.
Do it.
Oh no, you
There's
do
always
you.
someone.
You do you. There's a healing potion in the mix.
I am nearby and not fireproof, spear sight.
All right, no one is fireproof.
There's a little gnome, a halfling behind you being like, do it. Do it.
Tessel is probably resistant somewhat to fire, but I think the rest of us.
All right, I will.
So you do you.
All right, I won't try to kill everyone. Can I move
Yeah.
close? Can I move where I want to try and touch the troll? So can I move maybe like in front of the other
So
two?
we'll be there. You can reach over. The troll's like grappled onto the end of this platform. So this, I think this Goliath's got him in a headlock with his head stuck on the end of this platform. If you want to reach through somebody's legs and lay hands on its head, you're welcome to do that. Or try.
I'm going to use Shocking Grasp and try to touch his head so I can give him some lightning damage.
You go for it.
All right. Give me a second. 23.
That hits. That absolutely hits.
And damage is at 1.
All the damage adds up. All the damage adds up. So you run over and slide out with your hand out, and all the troll's black hair starts to stand up on end like it's connected to a Van de Graaff generator with this sort of static charge. Okay, Kavrak, it's your turn. And then Lustrous, you're up next.
Okay.
Kavrak.
Yeah. To avoid damaging Morgrim, who's kindly holding the troll for me, I'll use my great axe again to basically target. If I've got them in a headlock here, I'll target their back. And I'll swing right down onto
Nice.
it. All right.
5.
Oh, not good.
Misses, but not badly enough to hit your newly appointed intern colleague. So you swing the axe down, but as this troll is swinging like a pendulum with his head trapped on the platform, unfortunately, it just swings wide.
Kavrak swears in 2 languages, both common and giant.
Approves of the giant swear words.
Nice. Okay, Lustrous, you are up. You are able to, from that range, you're able to either, you can attack with your sword, you can get into range to do that from where you are, if that's what you'd like to do.
Strike at the troll.
Okay,
A deadly blow.
Okay, so you're going to roll your short sword to hit. Now, you've got lots of allies within very close range. So if you can hit, you're a rogue, so you also get additional damage if you manage to hit it on this turn. Give us a roll to hit with your short sword.
7.
So unfortunately, same problem again. This troll is just swinging by its own neck, which I'm sure should actually take some damage, but unfortunately it doesn't. It's just swinging out of the way. So unfortunately that also misses. Anything else you'd like to do? Would you like to move?
I'll move out of the way then to give someone else a go. Can I go
That's fine.
back
So
up
move
to the
in,
top
move.
of the well?
Okay, so move in and move back. Absolutely. Morgrim, you are up, and Phineas, you're on deck.
So there's two things that I'm considering, and I want to know whether the first thing's possible because it's the funniest. So I'm carrying what is a large creature, I'm assuming. So can I use my action to dash to move double my 35 feet to 70, which is halved back to 35, to drag the troll into the fireplace so it starts burning? Because trolls don't like fire. Or is that too far?
It's too far, but you can certainly start dragging it in that general direction to get it flat
Cool.
up into the Yawning portal, if you want to do that.
So that's what
But
I'll
you
like
won't
to
be
do,
able to get
and is I'll
away.
move as far as I can, which would be like 15 feet, with the troll to put him into the center there. And then I'm going to take my first swing at him with my bonus action. So Morgrim, as he's dragging, is just generally punching at the troll's sides and legs, trying to disorientate, essentially. So bear with me. And so for his bonus action unarmed strike, he gets 15.
Hits.
Pardon?
Hits. Sorry, hits.
And he's going to imbue this with all of the strength and knowledge of his ancestors. Hill Giant's topple, troll is now prone. Which means that anybody who is in close combat range has got advantage now. And so I'm going to swing back with my second hit, which is my main attack, which now has advantage. So that's a 17. I'm assuming that hits, so I won't roll it again.
That also hits, absolutely.
So I do a total of 6 plus 8 damage.
This troll's starting to look really sore. There's blood all over the floor of the Yawning portal, dragged up over the edge as this Goliath with this troll in a sort of headlock is just wailing all limbs on this troll. Phineas, excellent. Phineas, you're up. Phelan, you're on deck.
Phineas has watched this display so far, and he's thankful that everyone else has done all the hard work, really. The mosquitoes seem to be dead, and the troll seems to be largely dead. And at this point, he'll put his pipe down, because he's been smoking it up until now, and he will go a little bit glassy-eyed and mumble under his breath, and the troll needs to make an intelligence saving throw, which I suspect will not be great.
The intelligence saving throw of the troll is actually better than it's trying to escape the grapple with a...
It fails the save and takes the grand total of 1 psychic damage.
To be fair, I think the troll's taken 1 psychic damage for remaining grappled for this amount of time. It's been richly humiliated on the floor of the Yawning portal at the moment.
Bonus action, pick up my pipe, continue to smoke.
Noted. Phelan, you're up.
So Phelan's going to make his way over here, next to the troll. And is it still prone? I'm guessing that's
It is prone.
Great. I'm going to whack it with my quarterstaff. Just on the back so I don't hit Morgrim. So that is not a good first roll. Better second roll. So that's 21 to hit.
8 misses, 20... Yeah, 8 misses, 21 hits, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, sweet. So that is 3 damage. And then with my bonus action, I'm going to unarmed strike. Just a little kick. And that is...
Hits.
Yep, sweet. So that's going to be... Nice. 8 bludgeoning damage.
Okay, Phelan, describe how you kick this troll to death on the floor of the Yawning portal.
Oh no, it's not the character arc I was going for. So basically,
Killer.
Yeah. So Phelan whacks the troll across the back and then kicks it going for the stomach and just like doesn't seem to know his own power and just puts more into it maybe than he intended and kicks it very hard in the stomach.
Morgrim looks at Phelan and says, "If you go like this, you will get messy feet."
And Phelan looks at him, he's like, whoops. I like these shoes.
has an expression of exquisite sadness, probably from the psychic damage of being pounded by a whole load of intern adventurers on the floor of the Yawning Portal as it crumples and just falls still as you boot this troll into submission on the floor, and you are out of initiative. You stand back and there's blood all over the floor of the Yawning Portal. You've been warned about causing damage in the Yawning Portal, and you look over to the bar and there's a couple of patrons sitting there with their feet up on a stool, and Durnan's putting the longsword away behind the bar where it clearly lives, and goes back to wiping the bar with a rag that looks like it's been wiping that bar since the dawn of time. Not bad. Out, you're going to clean the floor, but not bad. And as he goes back to serving drinks and wiping the floor, and this troll is dead on the floor of the Yawning Portal, a figure approaches you. And this figure waltzes in through has been standing over by the stairs, watching this sort of demonstration of awesome power in the Yawning Portal. And he's got a wide-brimmed hat, which is flopping as he walks, and this sapphire-coloured scarf trailing dramatically behind him. And he's got a small book that he's clutching, and his eyes are darting to each of you. And he stops just short of all the gore and grimness and goes, "You must be the ones. The Order. You must be the ones that the Order has sent. The professionals. I was promised professionals, and this looked professional." And he's got this big moustache that's twitching. "Allow me to introduce myself. Amp Godda, chronicler, wizard, darling of discerning readers everywhere. Perhaps you've read Volo's Guide to Monsters. No? Yes? No? Volo's Guide to Waterdeep? Yes? No? Oh, no matter. You've seen the city. There's violence every alley. There's violence in the Yawning Portal. And now my dear friend Floon Blagmar, there like molten gold, vanished 2 days ago. I fear he has fallen prey to criminal misadventure or worse. He's not the brightest star in the sky, God bless him, but he shines, and if you would be so noble," and he gestures at the mess of bleeding troll that's currently like on the floor. Kurska, there's a giant orc that Morgrim wrestled earlier outside the bar, who's got him and his mates are hauling this body of this troll out into the yard, and there's a blood smear across the floor. Yeah, Morgrim.
As soon as anyone tries to move the troll after so Morgan turns to Volo and says, "You write book on monsters. Troll skin is good for leather? Is good for meat?" So Morgan is asking Volo whether he can skin the troll.
Yep. Volo looks, eyes wide, he goes, "I do not commonly write about the making of armour. I write about the killing of beasts, and you have correctly identified this is a troll." And Curse, the gang leader that you wrestled earlier, leans over and goes, "Makes excellent armour. We're going to skin him.
Excellent.
I know a man who can make you a great suit." And I do it outside. So Durnan, he like draws the line with innards outside the soup. The innards have to be in the soup or outside in the yard. Them's the rules.
Fair enough. I will come with you for troll later.
And he's, and him and his mates take this out you hear a sort of instruction to put it on one side by the barrels, ready for you to skin for armour at a later date.
Phelan's So Phelan's a high elf, which means he's got access to a wizard cantrip he can prepare each day. He's just been using prestidigitation to help clean up the blood on the floor. Little magical help.
So is this smear of blood blood is being dragged out of the Yawning portal. There's this sort of, this almost like invisible squeegee mopping the blood up after him as it goes. It's all very tidy.
He made sure to
I'm
do his
liking that.
shoes first. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. The D&D equivalent of the antiseptic wipe in use. May I prevail upon you to, in my hour of need, to, well, find my friend, Floon. He's handsome as the sunrise, poor lad. Human, wavy blonde hair, catches the lamplight like it knows it's being admired. He's, well, princely, especially for the dock ward. That's the trouble. That's the trouble. I do need some help. It would be terrible if you were lost forever, and you have come highly recommended by the Order, and there is probably some payment in it for you if you could find him.
The small halfling in the weird clothes bumbles up. He not entirely clear if he's actually been involved in slaying this troll, to be honest, because I think he put his pipe down for just long enough to shoot one bow at it. But first, he hands over his copy of Volo's Monsters for a brief inscription in the front. But in the meantime, he says, tell me what you remember of your friend. When did he go missing? What can you tell us that might help us find him? And
Well,
Phineas with 2 N's.
He stops talking. He pulls up a chair. He gets a handkerchief with a monogrammed V and G and starts just dusting the table clean. Puts the book down, takes out this beautiful, large, white feathered quill, sets himself up like he's doing a book signing, preening like a rooster. A devoted reader. And you are Phineas, 2 N's, Phineas. May the wisdom guide you and keep you safe. And he inscribes this book. And then again, out of nowhere appears to come this blotting. And he blots it with this silk sheet and hands the book back to you. And he goes, we were at Skewered Dragon. Do you know it? Oh, grimy place. Smells of stale ale. I could describe many bars in these parts, it's true, but in the dock ward, down by Net Street. Yeah, I can give you a map. Anyway, 2 nights ago, we drank. We gambled a little. I have had some writer's block. You don't like to talk about it. And then sometimes a night out clears the mind. And he nods knowingly at Phineas. And Floon was kind enough to keep me company. And he starts fidgeting. He's sort of got this nervous tick. And he's fidgeting with this blue cravat. And I left. Before midnight, maybe. Floon stayed. He was in much better spirits, talking to a few folks. And that was the last time I saw him, 2 nights ago. Not seen him since. I feel, with hindsight, I may have left him somewhat vulnerable. I may have gotten him into something that I didn't mean to. And yes.
Morgrim is watching Volo as he's talking. Does he have any insight into whether Volo is telling the whole story?
Yeah, you can roll insight.
And in the meantime, Phineas has put on his most professional face. Holy Jesus, okay. Never mind. We'll hear the insight first.
16 plus 4 is 20.
Ooh, dirty 20. You think he's telling the truth. You think he feels particularly bad. From what he's saying, you think they've gone somewhere dodgy. He left his fancy mate in a dodgy dive bar on the south side of Waterdeep, and he went home and got a good night's sleep, and his mate's not been seen since. So you think he feels profoundly guilty, very worried, but not 100% wanting to really admit that this was entirely his fault and he should have probably made sure he got home safely. bad wingman.
Specifically thinking if he's hiding any bits of information that I can encourage him to share.
You think he's been fairly upfront about where they've been and what they were doing. You think that's honest, that the Secured Dragon is where they went, and that's the last time you saw him. The waiver that you got would be around compensation, is where you heard him falter slightly in the payment for finding Flume.
I got this, Morgan. I got this. Phineas, he's put on his very professional face, he's put the pipe down very briefly, he's adjusted himself very quickly. He says, as the leader of this group, let me assure you that we're taking this extremely seriously. But first, I guess we'll need to investigate this. We'll need probably some funds to get this investigation moving and perhaps help grease some wheels. I'm sure you understand, and maybe you could front us some of this compensation. You can have deception or persuasion, your choice.
Morgan's going to stand over him flexing as this happens, if I can, to help. As in help action do this.
So absolutely. So if you give the help action to another, absolutely. So if you give the help action to a character, that gives the character advantage. So Phineas has advantage. It's up to you, Phineas. Are you trying to deceive him or are you trying to persuade him?
I guess we'd probably do it without the money, and I'm not entirely certain that I am the leader. Phineas is pretty certain,
Then
but Sean's
deception.
not. Deception it is. 20.
Okay.
And you have advantage if you need it, but I don't think you do.
That was with advantage, I think.
Oh, good.
It was 20 and 14.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. The DM has not rolled higher than a 5, I think, all night. So
Are you rolling on Foundry? We should definitely use
yeah.
Foundry for all future events if the DM rolls this badly on Foundry all the time, because Beyond is a
So
Only
if
the
you-
DM uses it.
yeah.
Okay, so there we go. I will just put the map up so that you can see. So there you go. Insight there on Phineas is pretty terrible. So that's a 7.
Hard
so
to read.
Yeah, so Volo looks at you and says, I only have, and he pulls out this very small coin purse. I only have 5 gold pieces at the moment, but I would definitely be prepared to pay 10 should you be able to successfully locate and retrieve my friend Floon. That would be very helpful. With your, I'll carry your 20 on insight, Grim. You think he's got more than 5 gold?
Phineas is used to this kind of attitude in the early negotiations, and he smiles and says, I think 5 is very reasonable for a successful man such as yourself, if that's all that you can have to offer. And the ghostly spectral hand that's just been floating around comes to just give him a quick pat down to find his other coin purse.
Roll sleight of hand.
+4 for 8. Sad.
That is pretty terrible.
It's there somewhere. It's mostly he's now just getting like an airport customs inspection.
There's the numbers. Okay, 21 on perception. So Volo notices that he's been patted down. You, and again, I'll carry the insight. You think this has probably happened before. So this is a relatively well-known figure in Waterdeep. He writes a lot of books. He goes drinking in really bad dive bars. You think he's probably been pickpocketed on more than one occasion and has started to become a bit more self-aware. But you also see him clasp his belt in a really dramatic manner, thus identifying exactly where his other coin purse is. But you don't manage to take it. He goes, well, I could run to, how about, I could run to 5 gold pieces each up front for sundries. Sundries, maybe more arrows or something. And there will be more, definitely a lot more, if you manage to find Flu. A lot more.
Phineas looks over his shoulder at everyone, looking briefly for some nods of assent before he turns back and he looks Volo dead in the eyes, and Volo briefly sees Phineas's eyes flash completely black and then go back to normal. And then go, if that's the best that you can do, then we'll take 5 gold per person.
And he pulls out trying to be coy, but really obviously pulls out this other coin person. He counts out the gold onto the table, and what he's doing is like, I'm just about to go to my publisher. Another book, Close Guide to Spirits and Spectres, will be useful, well worth reading if you come across any of the undead. And he starts handing out undeads so that you can add that to your inventory. So that's 5 gold each, which would be useful if you want to end up commissioning somebody to make you troll armor.
I mean,
Which is
Cataract turns
stylish.
to
I
everyone
like those
else and gestures at Phineas and asks everyone else, who's that?
Phineas now just leaves.
Very confused. Haven't seen this man in my life.
Yeah.
And Volo turns, looks slightly pained, and fishes around, and he pulls out a list of his current known works. And there's a Volo's Guide to Monsters, Volo's Guide to Waterdeep, Volo's Guide to All Things Magical, and to be released soon, Volo's Guide to Spirits and Spectres. And he gives it to you. It's like a flyer for a sort of Brambles bookshop. There's the local stockist in the trade ward. Pop in, say we've met. They could probably do you a deal should you want them all, which I would absolutely recommend. And he passes you. You're welcome. And he bows and he goes, yeah.
I was like, Cataract starts patting me on the shoulder, says, "You pay more," and starts trying to pull his cloak off him.
So Volo goes, stop, no, we agreed 5 gold each. Now, if you want a cloak, there are very many beautiful fashion houses. I can point you in the direction of my tailor, but you cannot have my cloak. It would not fit you, nor would it suit you. And he pulls out a sort of a map of the dock ward, which is the area. Pull up the main map for you so that you can see. So this is the main map of Waterdeep. Waterdeep as a city is built into lots of wards, and you are in the Yawning portal, which is the big blue circle on that map, and the dock ward is south. It's the ward of Waterdeep that runs along the main harbour of this harbour city. It's where all the sailors would be, where all the goods come aboard into water. It's where a lot of the underhand black market activity is. And he points out an area just down here, and he draws it onto the map for you. And he goes, Skewer Dragon, that's where they'll be. Pardon?
We couldn't see the map before. We can now see them.
Sorry, there you go. There you go. Thank you for changing the layout for me, Sean. Was that intentional, or did that just happen accidentally?
Look, let's say that it was completely intentional.
Okay,
So-
fair enough. Yeah.
Morgrim is going to look at the map and then, in a way that at least appears uninterested, leave and go back to the troll. And if Krusk is still there, so
Yep.
I was a bit confused from before. Did I recognize? So there's troll skin can be used for armor. Was there any interest in the meat?
Yes.
Is the meat edible?
If you go out to
I'm
go out
interested.
to Krusk, and Krusk is harvesting a troll in what appears to be really experienced fashion. You get the feeling just watching this that Krusk has done this once or twice before. There's a beautiful pile of relatively pristine, because apart from the one great axe blow to his head, the rest of him has been pretty well preserved. The arrows missed. There's a beautifully folded pile of freshly skinned troll skin next to the troll, and currently Krusk is harvesting the troll.
So
He grunts at you and he goes, "You can't put it in the stew here, but there's absolutely people that will sell this, and they'll pretend it's mutton. Can't tell the difference."
I'm going to grab out my butcher's kit, from my
Yeah.
bag and start doing it with him, trying to work
For it.
together. And while
Yep.
this is going on, I'm going to say, Krusk, tell me, I have heard that there is a skewered dragon. Do you know of this place?
He see how you do on your butchery. So roll a skill check for your butcher's tools.
So butcher's tools aren't in there, so I'm gonna do Dex plus proficiency.
However you would use your butcher's tools. So if you with
I
proficiency,
consider this a
absolutely.
dexterous activity that I would have proficiency with. That's what I'm going.
Yeah, you've definitely got proficiency.
So that will be a 15 plus 2 is 17.
With a 17, you make Krusk look like an amateur. So Krusk is carving this thing like somebody doing a Sunday roast with an unsharpened knife, and then you come in and this looks like a professional butcher. You eye up this troll and there's cuts of meat, and Krusk wipes his tusks, which are covered in gold rings, and goes, "That'll make more money, that will, because it actually looks like a leg of mutton and not
This
like
is how we do in
troll.
mountains."
That is bloody amazing. He's really impressed. I only had a friend before. You've got like a best friend now. And he leans over and he goes, "Skewer dragon, or place a pit, window smashed. There's an anchor in the roof. Looks like old ships like crashed into it. Locals go there because it's the only place that'll take them. Keep your back to the wall. Don't ask many questions."
Is
Are you
there
planning
any way
on-
we could discuss with people who might know some things? There is some very nice mutton here they might enjoy.
He leans down. He goes, "There's a guy there, barrel chest, cauliflower ears, goes by the name of Morlin, 2 fists. That's because his brother, he's only got 1 fist, but he looks just like him. He's called Paulin, and he's 1-fisted. Morlin, 2 fists. He drinks in there, and he's there most nights. He runs a butcher's shop further down. He would definitely be interested in some of this."
You're a good friend. Thank you.
Krusk nods,
So,
and
The rest of my time will just be carving up this thing. That's what all I'll have time to do.
okay. So you can add 1 troll skin to your inventory. If you don't do anything with that, it will start to rot because it's fresh troll skin, so it's not being tanned or preserved in any way. So give it a week.
With time, I'll
and
be
unless
applying
you
my
want to use them.
leatherworking tools to it because I have those too.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Remember to do that, because if you don't do that, within about 7 days, you'll start to attract lots and lots of stench. You have 1 troll skin, and you know that there's Morlin with the 2 fists at Skewered Dragon would be interested in potentially trading for some well-presented troll meat.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Polo has left. He has gone. Once he started to try and take his cloak away, he was out of there, looking at Dernan for backup.
I take it I don't have the cloak.
No, you don't have the cloak, and he's backed out of there. And so you're go round to town. So you're left in the Yawning portal. Dernan brings a round of drinks over because Phelan cleaned his bar. The trolls outside. You've got a round of drinks, and we're going to leave it there for tonight. And when we start next week, you get to leave the Yawning portal and head down to the dock ward, probably, unless you're planning on going somewhere else. But we can do that next week. So I'm going to end the recording, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks, next session.
Come one, come all, to the edge of the veil, where the lutes are loud, and the rule. We've got duels, we've got dreams, we've got frogs in disguise, and a tower that
Grigor himself said my footwork was a horrific affront to the art of dance. Best day of my life.
I lost my voice and my dignity, but I found my friends.
Bard camp, we're mostly fine, where spells go sideways
died during week 3, but I learned so much about myself. I came for loot lessons. I left with a Warlock Pact, 3 X's, and 2 best-selling ballads.
For more information about Bard Camp at the Starfall Observatory, find an enchanted flyer at your local tavern, or write to our Luxan office. Bard Camp accepts no liability for heartbreak, lost items, disfigurement, or demonic possession.